All right, so for this game, we have essentially a bunch of floors and a bunch of days that these floors are going to be examined on. Now, these are both sequential components. The floors themselves run 1 through 8, and the days, we have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there might be an inclination to kind of go in either direction on this one. But for this game, first of all, there is a grouping component, and that's definitely worth recognizing, right? If you run the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, those are going to be kind of groups, and we have the exact spacing for those groups as well, because we are told that each one of those is going to have exactly 2 spaces assigned to them. So it's a nice solidified setup. So that's going to be kind of the better setup to run with. So we'll do exactly that. We have those 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And as we said, each one of these days is going to have exactly 2 of the floors assigned to them. Now, the elements themselves then effectively are the floors, which is just 1 through 8. And then from there, we can go into the rules. So the first rule tells us that on any given day, the 2 floors that are examined must be separated by at least 1 other floor. So that means that, for example, let's say on the Wednesday, we can't have 2 consecutive floors. We can't have something like 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. There has to be basically at least effectively 1 floor in a sense in between them, but really that just means that they can't be consecutive. So in terms of symbolization, I guess you could do something like you cannot have an x with an x plus 1 really on the same floor, but really it's the implication that you care about. Basically, you just can't have consecutive floors on a given day. Next, the second floor must be examined on an earlier day than the 8th floor. So we can line this up accordingly. 2 basically just has to go at some point before 8. Next, we're told 3 has to go earlier than 7, so we can line that up accordingly. Next, we're told that 7 has to go earlier than 5, so we can actually connect these rules together. Now, this is actually pretty good because effectively this is 3 different days that they're going to have to go across, and we really only have 4 days to work with, so there's really not that much flexibility for this 3-7-5 setup, and that's definitely worth recognizing up front. Lastly, the 4th floor has to be either Thursday or Friday, so I guess we can just say 4 has to be either on Thursday or Friday, and we can also leave a reminder of that up here. Now that gives us 2 possibilities, and it's kind of worth recognizing that they both kind of slightly further restrict some of the other elements, because you'll notice that if we have a 4 on the Thursday, the 3 can no longer go there, right? This is related, which means that Thursday was really the latest that the 3 could have gone, so the 3 is going to end up having to go on the Wednesday. But alternatively, if you put that 4 on the Friday, then it effectively locks the 5 out of Friday because, well, 4 and 5 are consecutive, which means the 5 gets pushed into Saturday. So it might be worth exhausting this one just to kind of see where it takes us, since we only have 2 major plays here for the 4. So either 4 is going to go on the Thursday or 4 is going to go on the Friday. And as we said, in the top scenario, if we put the 4 over here, then 3 can no longer go on Thursday and it can never go later, so the 3 is going to have to go on the Wednesday. And here, if the 4 is on the Friday, the 5 could never go on the Friday, but it couldn't go earlier because it has to be after 7 and 3, which means that here the 5 is going to be on the Saturday. Now, at this point, to be fair, it actually looks like we can't do much more than what we're given with here. So the 5 in the top scenario, I mean the 7 and the 5, could really go into either any of these 3 positions, and in the bottom scenario, the 3 and the 7, as long as they come before the 5, they can kind of move around. 2 is before 8, but again, it's pretty open. Obviously, 2 can't go here, but it has movement here, and we have 2 before 8. I mean, we have complete movement on the bottom scenario. So you know what, we're going to leave that be for the time being, and we're going to go straight into the questions. Now, question number 18 rather, it's worth noting this is not really a complete exclusion question, but it still plays out the same way. So we're going to start off playing it like an exclusion question. So the first rule we're told is simply we can't have consecutively numbered floors on the same day. So answer choice A looks pretty okay. We have 1, 3, and then we have 6, 8, which are not consecutive. Answer choice B, actually you'll notice B doesn't work here because answer choice B has Thursday with the 2nd and the 3rd floor, and those are consecutive, so we can disqualify answer choice B from our options. Next, answer choice C looks okay, D looks okay, and E looks okay, at least for that first rule. Next, the second rule is that 2 has to go before 8. Now, we only have partial information, but let's see what we can do with what we have. So answer choice A, well, you'll notice that we have the 8th floor on the Thursday, but there's no 2 on the Wednesday, which means that that certainly wouldn't work. We can disqualify answer choice A from the options. Next, answer choice C has both 2 and 8, one before the other, so that's fine. Answer choice D happens to have 2 and 8 on the respective floor, so that's fine. Answer choice E doesn't have a 2. Well, actually, no, it does have a 2, but there's no 8 on the board, which means 8 would have come later, which is still viable as well. Next, we're told we have to have 3 before 7 before 5. Let's take a look. Answer choice C at the moment. So we have the 3 on the Thursday, and there's no 7 or 5 following, so that actually looks like, well, just to clarify that, we have 3 on the Thursday, but we don't have a 7 or a 5 given to us, which means they're going to have to go sometime later, which is viable. Answer choice D, you'll notice answer choice D doesn't actually have a 3, a 7, or a 5, but that means that that really can't work because that 3, there's no way that the 3 could ever go on Friday or Saturday, right? Because it has to have the 7 and the 5 afterwards, which means that the 3 at the latest would have to be somewhere on Thursday, maybe on the Wednesday, but that means that answer choice D doesn't really work anymore because answer choice D has essentially, well, no 3 on Wednesday or Thursday, so D is out. Next, answer choice E looks fine on that because we have 3 and then we have 7 on the Thursday, and then the 5 would have to come sometime later. The last rule here tells us the 4th floor is either Thursday or Friday. Well, let's take a look. Answer choice C at the moment has the 4th floor on the Wednesday, so that doesn't work, which leaves us as answer choice E as the best one here. Next, let's take a look at the local questions. So the first question that we have here that's local is question number 19, which says, if the 3rd floor is on the Thursday. Well, let's take a look and see what we can do with that. So if the 3rd floor is on Thursday, we can line that up over here. And it's worth noting that right away, this scenario would no longer work. So we're going to be pretty much in the second scenario. In fact, moreover, since we have to have 3, 7, 5 in that relative order, 7 will have to go on the Friday, and the 5 we've already got locked down on the Saturday. Next, anything else we can do here? Well, we know that the 2 has to go at some point before the 8. Now, obviously, 2 can't go on the Saturday, but it's worth noting 2 also can't go on the Thursday either because we have a 3 there, which means 2 is going to have to go on the Wednesday at the moment. Now, from here, we still have the 8 to work with, except the 8, it looks like it can kind of move around a little bit. It could go here or there. And then we also have we have the 1, which obviously can't go on the Wednesday, but it could maybe go on Thursday or Saturday. And we have the 6, which I guess it can't go on the Saturday next to the 5, but it could move around between Wednesday and Thursday. So you know what, we're pretty open at this time. So let's see what we can do with what we have. The question itself asks, which of the following could be true? Answer choice A, the 1st floor is on the Saturday. So could we have the 1st floor on the Saturday? Well, I mean, it seems okay. We said the 1st floor certainly couldn't go on the Wednesday, but maybe it can go on the Saturday. That seems pretty reasonable. Let's leave that one open. Answer choice B, the 2nd floor is on the Friday. No, we definitely know 2nd floor is on Wednesday, so answer choice B gets disqualified. Answer choice C, the 6th floor is on Thursday. Now, that actually seems to be kind of okay as well, because, 6, as long as not next to 5, that seems like it might work. Let's leave it open for now. Answer choice D, the 7th floor is on Thursday. Definitely not. 7 cannot go on the Thursday because it's currently on a Friday. And the 8th floor is on the Friday. Definitely not, because Friday is already full. So now we're just down to answer choices A and C. Let's try to run this one mentally. We'll take us a few steps further. So answer choice A says the 1st floor is on Saturday. Well, if we happen to have the 1st floor on the Saturday, that does mean that 2 before 8, that means that the 8 will have to go on the Thursday, but that seems okay because then we're just left with the 6 to go on the Wednesday. So answer choice A still seems plausible. Let's take a look at the other one. Answer choice C. The 6th floor is on the Thursday. Well, if we put the 6th floor on the Thursday, well, we know that 2 still has to go before 8. So if 6 is here, then the 8 is going to have to go into Saturday. Except wait a minute, that leaves us with only one floor, and that's the first floor, and that means that the first floor is going to end up on the Wednesday next to the 2, and that certainly can't work. So we can disqualify answer choice C, which leaves us with A as the best answer here. Next, numbers 20 and 21, these are global. We're going to come back to these momentarily. Let's take a look at number 22. So 22 says, if the 5th floor is on Friday, which of the following must happen? Well, let's try this out. If we happen to have the 5th floor on the Friday, first of all, that pretty much locks us out of this second scenario over here, which means that this doesn't work. We're going to be stuck up here now. So we know that we're going to have 3 here, 4 here. Per this rule, 3, 7, 5, we know that the 7 is going to have to go on the Thursday. Next, what else do we have? Well, we know that the 2 still has to go before the 8, except 2 definitely can't go here anymore, so the 2 is going to have to go on the Friday, and then the 8 is going to have to follow on the Saturday. And now we're just left with what? We have the 1, and we have what looks like the 6 to work with. Now, 1 and 6, they're not really consecutive with 8 or 3, so it looks like it could go either way. In fact, we could even leave a 1/6 here. The question here now asks, which of the following must be true? Let's take a look. A, 1 is on Wednesday. Well, it could, but it doesn't seem like it has to. Answer choice B, 1 is on Saturday. Same problem, it could, but it doesn't seem like it has to. C, the 2nd floor is on Thursday. That is dead wrong because we know that the 2nd floor currently is on the Monday. Next, the 2nd floor is on the Friday. And yes, we do know that the 2nd floor is definitely on the Friday at the moment. Just in case, the 8th floor is on the Friday. Well, no, we know that the 8th floor is on the Saturday. So the best answer then here becomes answer choice D for number 22. Next, number 23 is a modifier, so we're going to come back to that one in a moment. Let's take a look and see what we can do with the globals. So question number 20. Any of the following could be true except. So we're looking for the one answer choice right now that cannot be true, or in other words, must at all times be false. Answer choice A. The first floor is on the Friday. So could we have the first floor on the Friday? I mean, we haven't seen it happen historically, but at the same time, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with placing the 1 on the Friday. It seems like it would be viable. I mean, we haven't really proven that to be true, so we're not going to cross it off entirely yet, but this seems very plausible. Let's hold on to it. We'll keep it open if anything. Answer choice B. The third floor, rather, is on the Thursday. So could we have the 3rd floor on the Thursday? Well, in fact, we've seen it happen right there, so we definitely know that this could happen. We can cross off answer choice B. Next, the 5th floor is on the Thursday. Again, we haven't seen this yet, but let's see what we can do. What do we know about the 5th floor? Well, actually, wait a minute. The 5th floor is after the 7th and the 3rd, which means, no, this can't happen. We can't possibly put the 5th floor on the Thursday because we have to have at least 2 days prior, which means the best answer to question number 20 is C. This cannot be true. Just in case, let's take a look at the other ones. Answer choice D, the 6th floor is on the Saturday. Well, actually, this scenario right here seems to show that we could have potentially had 1 or 6 on the Saturday, which is arguably a good enough reason to disqualify D. Answer choice E, the 8th floor is on the Friday. Now, to be fair, we haven't seen that happen yet, but at the same time, there doesn't seem to be anything inherently wrong with the 8th floor on the Friday because arguably, I mean, in both of these scenarios, as long as the 8th floor is after the 2nd floor, I mean, why not? Now, this is the kind of thing that if you wanted to, you could have grinded it out and just proven this one way or the other, but answer choice C definitely must be false, so there's really no point in doing that, which, once again, best answer to number 20 is C. Next. Number 21, the schedule for the examinations is fully determined if which of the following was true. So we're looking for something that would completely lock down the game. Let's see what we can do. Answer choice A, the 2nd floor is on the Friday. Now, it's worth noting that we have a bit of history here whereby the 2nd floor was on the Friday, but we still had some flexibility in terms of 1 and 6 flipping between Wednesday and Saturday, which means, arguably speaking, this wouldn't lock down the game because at the very least 1 and 6 are still going to shuffle back and forth. So answer choice A gets disqualified. Next, B, the 3rd floor is on the Thursday. Well, kind of a similar situation. We've seen the 3rd floor on the Thursday here, but we still had flexibility in terms of where the 8 could go, the 1 and the 6, which means this wouldn't really lock down the game because there still would be several possibilities or options remaining. So answer choice B gets disqualified. Next, C, the 5th floor is on the Friday. And again, we've already seen this opportunity right here, which means this would not lock down the game because having 5 on Friday still leaves open 1 and 6 to bounce back and forth at the very least. So C is out. Answer choice D, the 6th floor is on the Thursday. Now we haven't seen that happen yet. So the question now is, if that were true, what would it do to the game? I mean, if we had the 6th floor on the Thursday, it's actually worth noting it. At the very least, it seems like that would be consistent with both of these scenarios, with both of these exhaustive sets, which means it doesn't seem like that would lock down the game because we can't even figure out which scenario that puts us into. Now, to be fair, maybe we overlooked something. Maybe this is the kind of thing that we didn't see, some sort of trigger or some sort of consequence, but it doesn't at the very least seem like it would do much damage. So from the get-go, we're not going to try this out just because it seems like it would burn time, and answer choice E might be much more viable. Let's take a look at E. The 8th floor is on Thursday. Well, again, we haven't seen this happen yet, but if we place the 8th floor on the Thursday, at the very least, it already seems like it would lock down the 2 into the Wednesday. Actually, in fact, if 8 is on Thursday and the 2 ends up being on Wednesday, that would mean that this would no longer work. You could never have the 3 on the Wednesday, and that's powerful because that now forces us into the second scenario. So you know what? Let's see what we can do. This looks promising. Let's see if the rest plays out. So if we place the 8 on the Thursday, we know 2 is definitely going to be on the Wednesday, which means that once again, as we said, we cannot have a 3 here, which means that your 3, 7, 5 range is going to essentially run Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now from here, what else do we know? Well, 2 before 8, that's taken care of. Well, 4 actually, this is good. So 4 has to go Thursday or Friday, as we said, which means 4 is now going to have to fit on the Friday. And that now leaves us with 1 and 6, except wait a minute. 1 can no longer go next to 2, which means 1 now gets stuck on the Saturday, and 6 ends up on the Wednesday, which means this works. This would lock down the game completely. The best answer to question number 21 then is answer choice E. Next, lastly, number 23. Which of the following, if substituted for the condition that the 4th floor must be examined on Thursday or Friday, would have the exact same impact on the game? So essentially, this is one of those rule replacement questions. We're looking for something that would have the exact same impact as this rule, assuming, of course, that that rule didn't exist. Now, just to kind of recap, remember, when you're looking for a viable answer choice here, a good answer choice is going to have to meet 2 parameters. It's going to be something that always had to be true, because you don't want to restrict the game beyond what was already there. And it's something that would guarantee that 4 is actually going to end up either on Thursday or Friday at all times. Let's take a look. Answer choice A. The 4th floor and the 7th floor must be examined either on the same day or on consecutive days. So I guess one question we should already be asking ourselves, does that really have to be true? Did 4 and 7 have to be either on the same day or consecutive to each other? Now, we do know that, actually, wait a minute, we do know that the 7 had to always be between 3 and 5, right? Which means arguably, the 7 could really only ever go on Thursday or Friday because it couldn't go on the Wednesday or the Saturday because it couldn't go on the edges, which means that actually did have to be true. Arguably, 7 always had to go next to or on the same day as 4 because they both always went on Thursday or Friday. That means that either they both went on the same day or they still would have been next to each other. Now, the other half of the question, though, is would this actually get the job done? Would this really guarantee that no matter what, 4 is always going to go either on Thursday or Friday? Now, the thing is, hypothetically, if we placed the 7 on the Thursday, I guess what would that mean? According to this rule, that would mean that the 4 would have to go either on the same day, Thursday, or next to it. But then again, next to it allows for the possibility of both Wednesday and Friday, doesn't it? In which case, would that really lock down the 4 into Thursday or Friday? Wouldn't that leave open the possibility for 4 to go on the Wednesday as well? Except we can take one more step here. If we, for example, place the 7 on the Thursday, then it actually would have forced the 3 onto the Wednesday, wouldn't it? Now, if the 3 is on the Wednesday, that would actually block the 4 from going here because we said we can't have consecutively numbered floors on the same day. So wait, let's kind of recap that. Arguably, if we place the 7 on the Thursday, it would have forced 3 to go on the Wednesday, which would have blocked the 4 from going on Wednesday. So it would have ended up either on Thursday or on Friday. But that's of course only if 7 is on Thursday. The alternative is we know that 7 could have gone on Friday. But we get a very similar situation because if 7 is on Friday, that means that according to this rule in this answer choice, 4 would have had to go next to it. That means 4 would have gone on Thursday or Saturday. Except if 7's on the Friday, then it would have pushed the 5 to go on the Saturday, which means if the 5 is now on Saturday, then 4 can't go next to it because that's consecutive, which means 4 gets blocked from Saturday. So to be next to or the same day as Wednesday, as 7 rather, it would have had to go either Thursday, Friday. This actually does work. This is a very indirect kind of consequence, but it ends up playing out perfectly. That means that if we say that 7 and 4 are either next to each other or on the same day, it actually would end up forcing the 4th floor to go either on Thursday or Friday. So answer choice A here is very much a viable answer. Now, you might have had a hard time kind of figuring that out as you went, but you might have noticed that there might be something of merit to that rule, something that you indirectly might have felt will do something, you just weren't sure. Let's take a look at the other answer choices, because you could have simply said, you know what, I'll come back to this one later. Answer choice B, the 4th floor cannot be examined on an earlier day than the 2nd floor or on a later day than the 8th floor. Now, I guess, did that have to be true? Is it true that the 4th floor could never go earlier than the 2nd floor? And that actually didn't. We can use our history to cut this one off because we know that the 4th floor in at least one scenario went before the 2nd floor. So answer choice B easily gets disqualified because this never had to be true. Next, answer choice C. The 4th floor must be earlier than the 5th floor. Now, did that have to be true? Did 4 always have to go earlier than 5? Now, technically it did actually, because we know that the 5th floor would have always gone on Thursday or Friday, and because 4 and 5 could never go on the same day, then no matter what, 4 would have had to go before the 5. That actually does work as an answer in the sense that this always had to be true. But then there's the second half. If we say that 4 is always before the 5th floor, I mean, it certainly means that the 4th floor could never go on the Saturday, but that would still leave wide open the possibility that the 4th floor could have gone on the Wednesday, because by saying that 4 is earlier than 5, that does nothing to stop the 4th floor from being on the Wednesday. So answer choice C, this one always had to be true, yes, but it wouldn't actually guarantee, it wouldn't force the 4th floor to only be on Thursday and Friday. It would leave open the possibility that it could go on the Wednesday. So answer choice C gets disqualified. Next, D. If the 4th floor is not on Thursday, then the 7th floor is on Thursday. Now, first of all, is that true? That if the 4th floor was not on Thursday, then the 7th floor had to be? Well, actually, no, this never had to be true, because it's worth recognizing right here, we had a scenario where the 4th floor was evidently not on Thursday, it was on Friday, but the 7th floor didn't have to go on the Thursday, the 7th floor was actually also on Friday, which means if this never had to be true, this wouldn't be a viable answer choice. Answer choice D is out. Lastly, answer choice E. If the 3rd floor is on Thursday, then the 4th floor is on Friday. So first of all, is that true that if the 3rd floor is on Thursday, then the 4th floor would have to be on Friday? Well, actually, yes, because originally, if the 3rd floor was on the Thursday, well, 3 and 4 could never be together. That would have forced the 4th floor to be on the Friday. So this is something that always had to be true, granted. But then there's a second question, which is, would that really always force the 4th floor to be Thursday or Friday? Now, with conditional rules, with conditional replacement rules, what you always want to be cautious about is you want to make sure that you're covering both sides of the condition. In other words, answer choice E tells you what happens if the 3rd floor is on Thursday. But what if it wasn't on Thursday? I mean, originally, there could have been a possibility in which the 3rd floor would have been on the Wednesday, in which case that creates almost no restriction for the fourth floor. Now granted, if the third floor was on Wednesday, it would have stopped the fourth floor from being on Wednesday because 3 and 4 can't be on the same floor. But that does leave open the possibility that you could have had the third floor on the Wednesday, and since the fourth floor is otherwise unrestricted, the fourth floor would have been able to go on Saturday. So answer choice E essentially wouldn't work. It doesn't get the job done. It doesn't guarantee that the fourth floor would be stuck on Thursday or Friday. It would have left open the possibility that the third floor could have gone on Wednesday, and then the fourth floor would have been open to go on Saturday. So answer choice E also gets disqualified, and that leaves us with A as the only viable answer choice here.